Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Council of Fire, the House of the Dragon after show brought to you by Agents of Fandom. As always, I am one of your hosts, TJ, aka Fat Thor, and joining me as always as well is Zen and Caesar from the Listen 3000 podcast. And today we are joined by a special guest, fellow agent from the Agents of Fandom, Emma. Emma, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for coming and joining the council.
Thank you so much for having me. I am doing great. I can't wait to talk about the show. I love it. It takes up my weeks, my Sunday nights, and I'm just so happy. So I'm ready to get into it.
You and me both. These last couple weeks, my mind is just fully in Westeros. Like I can't
Yes.
stop. Like even after the episode's over, I'm looking stuff up. When this season's over, I will be both sad and relieved because I
Yeah.
can take a break in my brain for a little bit. But we cannot be more excited to have you on here, and we cannot be more excited to talk about this episode. But before we get into this episode, since you are our guest this week, I want to start this off just asking you, what is your relationship with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon? Are you a book reader? We all talk about we were kind of late adopters onto the show. And also, before we start, what team are you repping today on the council? Are you Team Green or Team Black?
Well, so I also was a late starter to Game of Thrones. I think I started in 2016, I want to say. I don't know why I do this, but I used to kind of be one of those people that was like, oh, something's super popular. I'm not going to watch it. Like, whatever. But I realize now that things are popular for a reason. And so I watched it and I was like, oh, this is really good. So I got fully into it, very invested, and kind of caught up, I think, before season 7. And so then I watched live, and just the experience of watching this show live every week is just like incomparable. There's some of the most iconic episodes. It's just so great. And so I love the universe. It's such a brutal show, and so many theories fly around, and the tweets are always hilarious, even back in the original Game of Thrones days. It's just wonderful. I have been meaning to pick up the books, but they're a bit of a daunting thing, and I know that George R. R. Martin will probably never write Winds of Winter.
I say, well,
So
you got time to catch up. So
yeah, that's the good thing. I have plenty of time. I think very very long time if I do want to get into it. So, but I love Game of Thrones. I love the whole universe,
that's so
and I
awesome.
am Team Black all the way.
Oh, thank the old
I,
gods and the new. Thank we
yeah,
have
the
yet to have
Greens.
a Team Green a representative on the council yet, but maybe it might
Yeah,
happen before. It's I don't know. I feel like they're hard to
We're not
come
going
by.
to find one.
Honestly, say it's
I
hard.
hope
They're hard to
so.
come by. Someone in the comments, let us know if you're Team
Right.
Green. We'll have you come by. Let us know your side of the
We
story.
need to put out a
I need
call
to
like they did
hear.
in the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
raise your banners, everyone. Come
Yes,
on.
send a
But
raven.
I absolutely love that because I feel like
Send
that's
a
like
raven.
literally the exact time I got into it. Like I watched the last season and maybe the season before that live on TV as well, and I completely agree. Like it's a totally other thing when everyone is watching.
Yeah,
And I also have to agree with you. I always say one of the best things about this show are the memes that come
totally.
afterwards because we in the chat are just dying. Like after the episode, we said like it just people are just so funny. Like people are just so
So
creative
funny.
and funny. But getting off of funny and creative things, let's get into this episode because we always start off this episode with our overall thoughts, and I will begin with mine because I want to say I really enjoyed this episode. While it maybe not was as explosive and adrenaline packed as last episode, it's something we talk about all the time. It had all that juicy drama that we love of Thrones, but there was also some things that I don't want to say I had a problem with, but I have some thoughts on some things this time. It's not like I love the episode, but there's definitely a couple things that I want to discuss with you all today. But Emma, as our guest today, I'll throw it off to you first. What were your thoughts of this episode?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really good. Definitely not as explosive as last week, but I think I always appreciate when there's like really big episodes and then it kind of follows with something a little bit more dealing with the fallout. So it makes sense. It's really starting to explore some really interesting themes. Like Alicent's like actions are kind of catching up to her, which who'd have thunk. And seeing seeing the fallout of Aemond, who he's not in a good state right now. And so it's really, or Aegon, I'm sorry. I always get the
I say I
Targaryens
think Aemond's
confused.
doing pretty
Aemon's
good this
doing great.
episode. Yeah, he's
He's
chilling.
sitting there like he's sitting there waiting in the wings for Aegon to not recover from his injuries. So that will be interesting. But I really did like this episode. I do have some thoughts about a specific character that we might have the same, we might be thinking the same thing.
I'll say we probably are. I think a lot of people are kind of feeling the same way, but we'll get to that. Caesar, what did you think of this episode?
I loved it just as much as you guys. I same thing you said, Emma. Like, I expected this episode to be a little less, explosives, and I don't even think we got any action. Am I making that up?
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Like no fight, anything like that, right? So, and I loved it just as much. I'm here for the soap opera that the show is.
Exactly.
I was with it. I'm excited for the next one.
Hell yeah. And Zen, are we making it all 4 thumbs up here today? Or are you gonna come out of the woodwork with some crazy I hated it and it was the worst episode ever? What'd you think?
No, I totally agree with y'all. Like, I definitely like Emma was saying, like, we kind of need those balancing episodes. Kind of like after it gets crazy, we need something to kind of bring everything back down. So I thought it was dope. I also feel like this was another setup episode, like setting up things. I'm sure we're gonna get into later in the talk, but yeah, I thought it was dope. I really thought it was cool.
Yeah, and I really want to highlight what both you guys said, both Emma and Zen. Like, the balance of it, I think, is very important, and I think is definitely kind of what we're seeing, which I think this show does super well, which I know is not everyone's flavor. A lot of people want, action, which I totally understand for sure. But like you guys both said, sometimes we need those slower things. We need to set up. We need to kind of see what everyone's doing, where they're at. And speaking of where everyone's at, we begin this episode kind of seeing where everybody is at after the kind of explosive final of last episode, where we see Rhaenys fall. Aemond, I just did the same thing as you. Aegon is not doing good at all. Like, we didn't even know if he was alive at last episode. And we begin this episode in King's Landing. We see that Aegon did in fact survive. But what I really want to talk about is bringing Rhaenys dragon's head through the streets of King's Landing. They cut Melee's head off, which they definitely cut that dragon's head off because it was not decapitated when it died.
Yeah. So
they cut it off and then paraded it through King's Landing. And we see that the townspeople are not really cool with this. Like Cole's like, yo, this is going to be great. The people are going to be like, oh shit, like we freaking took out a drag. And everyone's like, yo, like what? I don't know about this. So I have some thoughts on this, but I want to get your guys' thoughts. Then I'll throw it off to you first. What did you think about them parading the dragon head around King's Landing?
First off, RP Melee's, that was sick. It was. I didn't like it. It was disturbing. You know what I mean? No, I thought it was. Wasn't it, man? It was crazy. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how the townspeople, like, Kristen got the opposite reaction than he thought. Like, he really thought he was cooking with that. And
he really did.
He did.
Like, he never is actually cooking.
He's like, what?
Right? This is just another L on his list. Like, he keeps messing up as the hand.
He racks up L's, dude. That's what Christian Cole does. He's racking them up every episode.
First day on the job, and he royally screws up. I'm like, get this guy out of here. God.
Right.
I'm tired of him.
I hate his stupid necklace too.
That
stupid hand necklace.
Everything about that stupid guy.
I hate that thing.
I hate him so much.
It's feel like a Kendrick song. I hate the way that you talk. I hate that you talk.
I hate your hand necklace. I hate your haircut.
But nah, man, I really thought it was crazy that they got the opposite. I honestly wasn't expecting that. Honestly, I thought that was going to give the townspeople some courage, or not courage, but some more support for Aegon, and it just really did the opposite, to the point where they wanted to run and leave King's Landing later in the episode. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that they chose to do that, but I feel like at this point in the show, like in the series, I assume, like, it's so many crazy things happening that I am getting surprised, like, with the reaction from the people, because it's like, these are dragons going to war, and it's like seeing people really getting to see the result of it, like even getting dead dragons. Like, I think people are actually shocked at what's actually going on, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Emma, what do you think about the Melees getting again the disrespect to the queen that never was? What do you think about all this?
So beyond disrespectful. Like I Rhaenys was a real one. Like she just continuously was fighting for people, and she never even got that opportunity to be on top. But it's just I don't know. They like you said they really thought they were cooking with this, but just I don't know what they. I know they expected the people to kind of get into this, but I don't know if I were to see something like that. I'd have been like, this is gross. Like, this isn't doing what you thought it was gonna do. It does seem like it would just give me really bad vibes. Like, it's kind of like the people of King's Landing are struggling. There's all this stuff going on, and you're like, you're just gonna show me a dragon set. Like, what is that gonna do for my everyday life? Like, that doesn't instill any confidence that Aegon is a good king. Like, it just doesn't. Yeah, but it was just sad. I love the dragons. I mean, even Vhagar. I don't love Vhagar necessarily, but I just like I just think they're cute. So I'm like, it's sad to see any of the dragons. Like, it's not giving me the same exact feelings as the Red Wedding when they killed the direwolves. That made that like thoroughly depressed me. But I don't know. I'm just like these poor dragons. They're just fighting. You know, they're just doing
fighting other people's war.
Yeah,
their stupid human drama.
Yeah, they never asked for this. Like, and I don't know. I just thought it was gross and disgusting, and it just shows me that the continuous like team green is just I don't know. I'm trying to find the right word for it. Just extra violent for no reason. I don't know. Like everybody's violent, but they're just really like sick, like nasty people.
Just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah,
seems like everything they do like just kind of comes back at them. But Caesar, what'd you think of all this? Again, just like the disrespect of throwing the dragon around, and like the fact that they thought this was a great idea.
Honestly, I mean, everyone really cleared it up. Honestly, like it's just disrespectful. I was really sad to see the reactions. Everyone was not into it. And Emma brought up a great point. Like people are starving. Like they're like, I'm gonna die, and my family members are gonna die. So like, I don't need this dragon. Are you gonna cook the dragon? Like, what are we doing?
Well, our dude Hugh Hammer was like, it's just meat, and he's like, yo, we can use that.
That's what I'm saying. We can do something. So I'm just. Yeah, it was just sad. I don't know. Yeah. And I also agree with everybody. I didn't expect it to all the way go the way. I thought at least some people would be like, oh, yes. At least a couple people. But nobody. Everyone was just like, this is, you see them? You know? So,
yeah.
Another win for the Blacks. So,
yeah. Yep, they're very, like, showboaty to me. Like, they're like PR. They're giving, like, Kris Jenner. Like, they just want to keep, like, they just want this like image for themselves, but like, what are they actually doing? Nothing. So they're all bark and no bite.
That's a great point. Like it's all kind of showboating. I think that even goes into we see them telling everyone that Aegon is the one who killed Melees and Rhaenys, which we know is obviously not true. So like you said, it just is all a show, all to be like, oh, look at all how bad we are. Look at how great King Aegon is. But we all know that it's, complete bullshit. And I want to your guys' point, it would suck so bad to live in King's Landing. Like, oh my God. Like people talk about like living in like the MCU, right? Like, oh, if you were like a civilian MCU, I don't want to be anywhere near the Game of Thrones world. Like if you're not a lord or a lady, you are screwed. Like it doesn't really matter where. Maybe Winterfell. I feel like the common folk of Winterfell are chilling most of the time. I don't want to say all the time. But yeah, I mean, I just have to echo, all of your guys' points. I think it was, like you guys said, disrespectful. It gave me the heebie-jeebie. Like, I don't like this, But I want to bring up, too, with the townsfolk. So the way I took, and this is like coming from reading the books and stuff like that, is like, especially at this time when the Targaryens are like at the height of their power, Targaryens are like seen as gods, which we'll get into that a little bit later as well. And also the dragons themselves. We even get that one guy. He's like, I thought the dragons were gods, right? And it's like they literally think that they are like at that level. So for them to see like a dragon fall, as opposed to them being like, oh, look how bad our king is. To me, it felt like they're like, well, shit. if they can kill a dragon, what chance do I have, right? It's like that's why they think it's such a dark omen, because it's like literally someone killed a god, and it's like, oh my, like the world is ending basically, excuse me, in their eyes. So I thought it was really like well done how they kind of showed that out. And like you guys all said too, it just shows the kind of incompetence of the green team, or the green council. Like, oh, again, they're gonna love this, right? And everyone just freaking out. And in the books it even says that after they brought the head around, that I think it's 10,000 people left King's Landing up until they barred the doors and stopped people from, which the book also says that Alicent ordered the doors closed, which we see in this episode that it was actually Aemond, which I mean doesn't really mean anything, but just fun fact for y'all out there. But after this, so we get this kind of, again, going back to the destruction of last episode, reeling from everything, and then we go into the Black Council, and we got to talk about this because I was like screaming at my screen during this scene. So it's Rhaenyra at her council with the rest of her councilmen, and they're just like, we talked about in another episode, but just like talking over her. Sir Alfred is going crazy. Like he is. That's why I said I was screaming at my screen, because I'm like, she needs to kill this dude. Like maybe that's like kind of strong, but like he cannot be talking to our queen.
I said the same thing. I'm sorry.
Yes,
that's
dude.
The Game of
Right?
He's got to go.
I was like, and not only him, but everyone, like they were all just kind of talking. She's like, well, what do you want me to do? Right. So I got to get your guys' thoughts on this, because again, I was getting very frustrated at this. Emma, I'll throw it off to you first on this one. What did you think of the Black Council and, everyone? I would even say like not taking her seriously.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's really like, they got to stop disrespecting my girl Rhaenyra. Like it's not easy to be a woman really in any time, but especially not in the Game of Thrones world. And so she's going to have to work, and she's clearly having to work like 10 times harder just to gain any sort of respect. And it's like, just let her do what she's supposed to do. Like, stop talking over her, stop being disrespectful. Yeah, that pissed me off. I was not happy about that. She needs to get some better people around her.
Yeah, that's what I kept saying. I'm like, who are these clowns on this council? Like, where is Corlys? Where's Baela? Where's Jace? Like, what are these, again, clowns doing here? But I also think, too, at least this was my take from the episode, and please disagree with me so we'll have some discussion. But I really do feel like Rhaenyra, I don't want to say over her head, but you definitely see that in this episode. And like the council, while some of their points may be valid, it's like they are not helping at all. Like, and we see, like she says, like, oh, Viserys taught me to be a lady or whatever, but never taught me about a sword. So I also thought that was very interesting, and like made me feel for her a lot during this whole thing. But Caesar, what did you think of all this? And again, kind of this situation that the council's putting Rhaenyra in.
I mean, we just keep seeing it week after week. Like I felt the same way the whole time. I'm like, who are they? Like, where did they even come from? I don't know. I don't even remember their names until they bring it up. I couldn't tell you who they are.
I didn't remember Alfred until she said it in the episode. I was like,
okay, Alfred. I don't know who that is. Now that you bring it up, I hate Alfred.
Louis C.K. looking dude. That's what they called him until they said Alfred.
It's true. But no, I just thought it was also crazy that the rest of the council, when he was talking crazy, they even looked at him like, "Are you getting a little ahead of yourself, buddy? You might need to So I don't know. I just feel like maybe, what, I don't want to fast forward too much, but when she gives him that, I guess, like mission or task later on, maybe she did that as a smart play to be like, here, go fetch something, so maybe you feel a little better. So when you come back, you got a right head on your shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
get out of my face.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Go think about what you've done. Gather yourself a little bit.
Well, even just like get something for his ego, because now like he's like, oh, the queen just told me to go do something, so I'm gonna go. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, I have a
Men
job.
are simple creatures. No offense. Sometimes simple creatures, and
I'll agree over here.
Sometimes you just got to give them a task, and they feel good about it.
Away. Yes. But no,
I do want to say. Go ahead.
Oh no, that was it. I just really can't. Yeah, I'm tired of seeing it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say right before we go off to Zen really quickly, I think that scene that you're talking about where she sends Sir, so later in the episode she sends Sir Alfred off on a task. Again, this could just be me reading it, but I also kind of felt in that moment too, she was kind of unsure of herself. Like she was like he was like, "Oh, are you kicking me off of council?" She's like, well, like almost like she was like afraid to tell him, like, right? Like, no, like she's just like, yeah, you're off the council. I need you to go do this shit, right? So I think again that kind of goes to what I'm kind of talking about, which again, maybe you guys didn't pick up on this, but it just feels like Rhaenyra is very unsure of herself, and like she doesn't really know what the right next step is. Zen, what do you think? Are you with me on that? Of her kind of unsureness in her actions, or am I reading too much into it? And all the Black Council stuff too.
Yeah, I didn't think about that off top, but when you brought that up, I'm thinking back to like how she was speaking to him, and I could definitely see that. I also feel like there's a lot of other things going on, so like this isn't, it's like extra nonsense that she has to deal with. That is just like, yo, like it's so much stuff. Like Rhaenys just died, like bro, like I don't need this. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of crazy. And I feel like they kind of need to be, especially Sir Alfred, they need to be reminded like why they are here in the first place. Like y'all bent the knee to Rhaenyra. You know what I mean? Like I need to respect what y'all did. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that needs to happen soon. I'm hoping that happens soon in the show because it is getting out of hand. Like every week, I feel like they get a little bit bolder in how they come at her, and it's just like now she don't got Rhaenys to kind of back her up, and like Daemon's not around, and hopefully Corlys steps back into the fray soon, but. I feel like she either needs to like get some help or she's gonna need to step it up because like they can't keep disrespecting her like that. You know what I mean? And we can't hop through the TV to help her, so like she needs some help.
Yeah, literally. I mean? But I 100% agree. That's why I said like maybe like killing him's a little extreme, but like we need to, like you said, remind them of their oaths, right? Like remind them why they're here. Like and she kind of says that too. She's like, you served my dad for a long time, right? But like it's me now. And I don't know. I just think like, again, like just the way she kind of was playing that scene. I mean, we all know Emma Darcy. They are a fantastic actor. So I feel like for them to kind of portray that as a little trepidatious, if you would, that's like not by mistake. Right. Like she's good enough to where like, that's not just like, oh, it came off that way. Like feel like she was doing that intentionally. Yep. But another thing that we got to talk about, and this is kind of one, I don't want to say a problem I have because it's not a problem, but something I want to get your all's thoughts on. Daemon in Harrenhall. Like all of this, just Daemon, for lack of a better term, fucking around in Harrenhall. Like I'll just go first. Like I said, I kind of have problems with this. I am kind of getting kind of sick of this. Like Daemon and Harrenhall. Like I get what he's doing, and like again, I've read the book, so like I kind of know what the end game is with it all. But I'm just like getting like very kind of frustrated with him in this show. Like, what are you doing? Like we obviously see here, like he kind of wants everything for himself, basically. But am I the only one that's feeling that way, or are you guys a little kind of burnt out or frustrated on this whole Harrenhall thing? Caesar, go ahead.
Just so I understand what you're asking. Are you like, as a fan of watching it, you're like, I'm not entertained by this anymore? Or do you?
I don't want to say entertained. I feel like I'm getting frustrated by the character. Like what are you doing? Right.
Like, just like Daemon get it together. That's all.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to say the show. That's why I say I don't want to say it's like a problem. Like, it's like ruining the show for me. Well, also, but I'm like, we need to wrap this Harrenhall up.
Yeah.
But he's also a nut. So it's just like,
yeah,
true.
He's going a little.
I agree. Yeah, it's like I'm expecting him to do whatever. If he comes out tomorrow and kills another kid, I'm gonna be like, well, it's Daemon.
Yeah,
well, it's
very true.
So, and I don't think he can do that. So that's kind of where I'm at. So the more that I see him be crazy, it's like, oh my god, here we go again. But it's
there's
also
new levels to it though. Like I feel like they up it every episode.
They do.
Him doing something even more wild. And it's like, is he provoking this, or like, is it just happening to him and he's experiencing it? I don't know, bro. He need to look back in though.
This one was weird.
Things is happening.
It is.
Yeah,
happening.
this one was weird with his mom. I was like,
Yeah.
what was
I didn't
that?
even realize that was his mom until
Neither
like
did
after it happened. I thought it was
right.
Viserys' wife at first.
Me too. That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Oh,
too.
that's crazy.
I'm like,
I
who
was
is this
just like,
lady?
who is this person? I'm realizing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and then she said,
you're related.
I was like,
Then it's a
like,
mom.
whoa.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, this is Nat. Someone said
that
on
crosses
Twitter,
the line.
That, no, it does, right? But someone said on Twitter about that. They were like, we get incest every single episode, every show, but the mom, no.
That's too far.
That's where they drawing that.
Yeah,
that's where we're drawing the line. We draw the line,
which
right
is
that's
totally agreeable.
That's all of it.
All of it.
And that was kind of one of my other, again, I don't want to say problems of it, but I was like, all right, like, I don't know. I could be a little bit more prude than other people with, that kind of stuff on TV, I'll admit that. But to me, sometimes it can go a little too far. And I think this was a great example of it going to, like, it's like, okay, we get he's with his mom. We don't need to see all of that. You know what I mean? Like,
he went a little far, bro.
All the way there,
not
right?
with the mom.
Yeah, and sometimes it just kind of comes off as, for lack of a better word, lazy. And like so to me that was a little too far of it. But Emma, what are your thoughts on, again, just Daemon and Harrenhal? Just again the whole thing. I got something I want to bring up with Alys Rivers as well. But again, just all this stuff we see with Daemon and Harrenhal.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm like how you were saying. I don't want to say it's not like I'm not like having a problem with the show itself, because I'm sure it's gonna go somewhere. Like the writers, they could, like, it's really good. But I'm getting so frustrated with Daemon because last season, like, he was the highlight for me. Like the way he would like throw down for his wife and like all this stuff, like it just doesn't seem like he seems so into Rhaenyra. And like I know they're having these issues, and it just seems like he's checked out. Like I feel like that's what it really, like, he's totally checked out. He now wants everything for himself, and I'm just like, come on, man. And then he's like having these visions or dreams or whatever it is. Someone on Twitter described it as Luigi's Mansion, and I'm like, that's so accurate.
Literally.
Like, literally, that's what he's doing.
Yeah. He's just running around this mansion, chasing ghosts, literally just chasing ghosts.
Yeah, and I'm just so tired of it.
Yeah, it's so weird too. Again, like, I'm not saying this as a criticism or like people would be like, oh, like they're changing things from the book, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But what's weird is, like, in the book, they kind of just are like they talk about Daemon taking Harrenhal and like how it was like not a fight at all. He just kind of walks in. They mention Alys Rivers, but they specifically say in the book that so they call Alys Rivers out, quote, wanton, who used her poison and potions to bind men to her body and soul. But then it also says, whatever her power, it would seem that Daemon was immune to them, for little is heard of this supposed sorceress while the prince held Harrenhal. So the book doesn't really talk about her at all, and specifically says like her magic doesn't work on Daemon. But we see that's totally not true. And also in the book, it just kind of says, again, he takes Harrenhal and he spends that time gathering the Riverlands to Rhaenyra, which we do see not happen very successfully, but we do see that. So it's just very weird to me that this show's like throwing in all this craziness with like these visions and stuff. And the thing that frustrates me is like he could be doing so much more, and he's just, again, fucking around Harrenhal. Something that kind of is not annoying me, but you could say the same thing about Corlys as well. Yeah. The richest man in the realm, and what is he doing? Just kind of like, I'm getting a little frustrated with these things. But Zen, what did you think of, again, just all this Harrenhal craziness? What the hell is Daemon doing, man?
I don't know, man. He need to get back. He need to get it together, though.
Yeah,
he need to lock back in, because I don't. Like, again, I am feeling a bit frustrated because it's like, it's so much craziness going on outside of Harrenhal. It's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, I get it's probably an experience right now, but like, I think you need to take a break or like take a step outside or something, because we need you.
He needs to touch some grass.
He really does. He really does. When he's gone, bro, does he even know? Like, I'm like, man, I feel like you in this Harrenhal bubble, and like, I don't know, man. One thing I did like, though, I will say, I like when he had the vision of what is her name, man? Lena.
Yeah, his second wife.
And she asked him, like, yeah, you taking care of the kids? And he looked at her like, it's like, no, you're not. You're not taking care of them at all. You probably don't even know where they are. One of them's like halfway around the world now. You don't even
He
know
has
where she's
no
at.
idea. I
Like,
guarantee he does not know that she's in Pentos, like, or I
right.
guess she's in
Not a clue.
River or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
he has no idea, dude.
He doesn't know.
So I'm hoping that part of his conscience
If he-
kicks back in. He gets back involved in their lives. But yeah, other than that, yeah, he needs to get out of there.
Yeah, he needs to run away from Harrenhall. And that kind of goes into something I wanted to throw on y'all. And this is, again, you all know I love my crazy theories. And I'll admit that this one is a little bit of a reach. But so Alys Rivers, I want to talk about a little bit. Like we said, she's a sorceress. We've seen she's freaky, right? In all these episodes. And first of all, which I think this is kind of everyone kind of assumes this, but maybe not. This isn't really the theory part of it, but I think that she's the one giving him these visions for sure. Like she gave him the vision of his mom, like she's kind of like torturing him, right? But on the other hand of this is where I get a little crazy. And again, I want to know your all's thoughts. I'm thinking, what if Alys Rivers isn't even there? Like she is completely a figment of imagination. And so where I'm coming at this is we see again, so she mentions his mom, right? It's like, okay, even if you're a witch, how do you know about his mom? Or, whatever, all that kind of stuff she knows. And we see when they're talking, like in the little corridor, she mentions, I forget her exact words, but she mentioned something about, when these wars happen, it's women and children and, the small folk who suffer. And then fast forward when the Lords of the Riverlands come in, that's almost exactly what happened. And what happened with the Blackwoods is they went and burned all this town and stuff. And this is the big part of this craziness, why I'm thinking, again, she's just like completely not even there. She literally, you guys are going to have to go back. Everyone watching, listen to this, y'all have to go back. When not Simon Strong, but the Lord Strong of Harrenhall, when he walks in, she literally walks behind him and disappears. Like she vanishes. Like she goes behind his head and then she is just gone. And this is why I'll admit that it is a little bit of a reach, is because so the strong lord walks in and he kind of glances at her while she's walking away. He kind of glances over, and this is why I say I'll admit it's a little bit of a reach. What I'm saying is, what if he was like, he walks in, sees Daemon is talking to no one, and he's like, who the fuck are you talking to?
So I thought
right?
I thought the same thing as you, but I was
Am
never
I crazy? Okay, so am I crazy or are y'all with me here?
I
seen somebody online mention this same, like speculating in the same way too. So maybe you're not too far out there.
Emma, what do you think? Am I absolutely nutso or?
I don't think so. I wouldn't put it past. I mean, I think that would be really cool, and I don't think anything is too crazy in the world of Game of Thrones. So,
well, and think
really
about it.
Know.
Can you guys correct me, please? And please, someone in the comments watching this in the future, let me know. I can't think of a time in any episode that she's been in where she has interacted with anyone besides Daemon, or anyone even acknowledging her. Nope. I don't think. She's always in the back of the room. Daemon looks up, sees her. Like I've never seen anyone else talk to her, acknowledge her. So I'll admit that it's a little bit of a reach, but I'm going down. I'm saying, like I said, she's completely made up in his mind. Like whether that's some sorcery from the Godswood or the Curse of Harrenhal, which we talked about in a previous episode. If you guys want to go, hear about all that, I don't know, but that's what I'm going. When I was with my girlfriend, I literally rewound it like 3-4 times. I'm like, did she disappear? I was like, she didn't go left, she didn't go right. Where'd she go? And she's like, I don't know. So yeah.
Wait, I got a question for you, Thor. If you can't answer, that's okay. In the book, when they mention her, do they mention her a lot outside of dealing with them?
Again, please correct anyone out there listening, watching this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from this point, she's literally mentioned in like a paragraph, maybe like 2 sentences.
I think that's made up for Daemon. The whole.
I don't know if I don't think that she's mentioned again later on. Again, it's been a while since I read the entire book. I've more so just been, especially for this, reading those passages. So someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she's ever mentioned again. But like we talked about, the book Fire and Blood is written from other people's perspective. So the fact that they mention her means like there had to have been someone there that kind of fits this description if history remembers this Alys Rivers. but I mean, no one was technically there. So
unless Daemon wrote that part.
I mean, Daemon could have told somebody like, yeah, this Alys lady, or you know, so they're like, oh
that
yeah,
didn't
whatever.
work on me. The Alys,
Hey,
when you write about Alys, that didn't work on me. Remember?
Yeah,
I resisted it.
Daemon had
everybody but me.
Sexton Eustace at knife point was like, you better leave that shit out.
I think so.
But yeah, I could talk about Daemon this whole time and all this stuff because, like we all said, it's I'm kind of hitting my limit to it. Again, I don't want to say I don't like it. I'm ready for it to kind of wrap up, if you would. But moving on, another thing that I've been super excited to talk to you guys about, because I think this is also one of my favorite moments of the episode, and I think maybe one of my favorite like shots of the whole season so far. But that's when we get back to the Green Council and we kind of see what everyone over there is doing, and they name Aemond as the new king over Alicent, which she was fighting hard for that for sure. We see Christian Cole is dealing with some PTSD, and it's just things are not going good at the Green Council. I mean, again, for Aemond, things are great, but for everyone else, things are not going too great. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on all of this. Again, Aemond being king, Alicent, which I would say definitely is mirroring Rhaenyra's situation, like 100%. But Emma, I'll throw it off to you first. What did you think of this scene? And I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say like one of my favorite shots of the show.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was very interesting because Alicent is thinking that these people are gonna stand beside her, but nope. I mean, they all talked over her. It seemed like with Rhaenyra. I mean, I'm not a fan of Alicent, but it's kind of a similar situation. And even Kristen Cole, like that just, I mean, we all know I hate him, but even him being like it was very interesting to see how that caught up to her, and the way that they were just completely, nope, it's Aemond. And I'll be interested to see how he kind of does, because it just seems like he very much wants the power. So I don't know what happens in the book, but I almost wouldn't be surprised if he goes in and like finishes the job and just kills Aemond or Aegon.
He was going to last episode. He was about to.
This close. Yeah. So I don't know. I could see that being a big like finale thing or something, but I don't know. He's having a pretty good day, but everybody else in the Green Council is not having the time.
Yeah, and she even calls Cole out on that shit too. She says it a lot more, eloquently and medievally, but she's basically like, "Oh, so you'll sleep with me at night, but in the daytime you're not going to back me up?" Like she literally said that to him, and he's like, whatever, dude, you're a woman, basically. But yeah, again, just like frustrating to like be a viewer on it, right? And not frustrating because like I do not like Alicent. Anyone who watches this podcast or has listened to our episodes, no, I am no fan of Alicent. But I feel like this was like not her first realization of like, oh, like I'm a woman, like they're not going to take me seriously. Like she knows that, like she's been through that. But I really feel like she thought like, if I play my part, if I do what I'm supposed to do, I will get to this position, and then finally they will see my worth and like that, that I'm not just this, dumb lady. And that was the first time she realized like, wow, that will never happen. Like, it doesn't matter what I do, that will never happen. Zen, I'll throw it off to you next. What did you think of all this? And also, too, Aemond was ready to take, like, as soon as he took that ball, he's like, so where are we in the Riverlands? And blah, 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 blah. Like, he was on it, ready to go. What did you think about Aemond taking the throne, Zen?
Man, well, about Alicent, I thought it was funny that she thought it was going to be any different for her when the whole plot of the Greens is to not let a woman be the king.
Dude, Lannister literally says, like, but she's a woman. Like, he literally just said that. Like, what? Like, straight up, it was a meme.
What's his name? Larys even said, was like, how would it look if we're trying to stop Rhaenyra and then we let you be the
He's like, your feet ain't that
we're
good,
look crazy. Like as well. And also, like, with Kristen Cole, it did not. And then Kristen Cole, if you notice, he didn't look at her anytime she was like talking to him, like during the council meeting, and even when she came at him later, he couldn't look her in the eyes. And I thought that was some real loser behavior from him more than usual. I like
more than usual.
Right,
somehow
right.
Christian Cole every
Somehow.
episode outdoes himself in
Yeah.
being a freaking loser. Like
He really does.
it's
least-
really impressive to watch.
It
At
honestly
least
is
stand on
super
it if you're gonna do that. Stand on it at
Yep.
least, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But Aemond again, I feel like Aemond's been ready. Like I think Allison, earlier in the episode when she was standing next to him, she noticed the cat's paw dagger on his waist.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Oh, something's going on." Like he was ready. He really was ready, and I feel like everybody kind of feel like he's the one to take up the mantle after Aegon. He kind of been proving himself here and there a little bit. So I feel like everybody's just kind of backing him. Plus the misogyny, it's like all working in his favor right now. So, I think he's gonna do an okay job. But we'll see. He's one of the most interesting characters of the show for me. I always love when he's on screen. So.
Well, and we've talked about it on this show, even that he is definitely the most capable of holding the throne. Like, while we don't like him, we don't really like anybody. Way more capable than Aegon, for sure. Like, that's not even a question. But Caesar, what did you think of all of this? And Christian Cole, Allison, which I want to say really quickly before we get to the shot I was talking about. We already talked about Allison, but how they hold on her. Like literally for over a minute, and like you hear everyone else's voices. So I thought that was just such a smart way to like show kind of what we're talking about. These men talking over her. So Caesar, what do you think about all this?
It's all a lot. Exactly what Zen said. I actually even took a little bit more. He is a loser, and him not like showing her, like just showing eye contact at all. He can never look at her. But I also thought it was because he's afraid of Aemond. I think he's terrified.
I could see that.
I genuinely think he's scared of him. Like I think since remember when he saw him with the knife last week, and he was like, "Yo, hey," and Aemond
like, "Yo, A-Dog, dude."
Right, but Aemond didn't really give him a face. He looked at him and was just like, "Oh, all right." You know what I mean? And I feel like from that point, I don't know if you guys remember back to that, but Cole's face was like, "Oh, we in a little bit." This is just after he touched somebody's arm and it was a skeleton. Like he was going through stuff. So I feel like he's got his own situation going on top of I don't think he could listen to what Alice is saying anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's in his own world at this.
He was talking about the trauma, about all the.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like he's really messed up. I don't even think it's about Allison for him anymore. Yeah. He's just playing his part a little bit because he's afraid he don't want to die. But the rest of it, even Aemond standing over his brother, I feel like that look was just him being like, "You so lucky that you right here, ain't you? Like, you know what I mean?" So like, there's a lot of drama going on at one time, and honestly, it might be better off for Allison that she don't get it. She gonna be more stressed if she did get the job. So it's
I think Cole actually, while he's a freaking loser, and we just talked about how much of a loser he is, I honestly I don't want to say give him credit because I would never give that man credit.
Never.
But I do want to say he did have a great point when he tells Allison, he's like, "Did I not spare you? Like, what we're about to do is going to be terrible.
Really bad.
And like, you do not want any part of that." Which I don't want to say credit, but I think he made a great point there. And I think to Zen's point as well, like, my dude is like traumatized. And I think kind of going back to when saying how Allison, this is like her first realization that it's not going to happen for her. I think that battle was like Cole's realization of like what a dragon in a war could do. And he is like, "Oh shit. Like, what did I get myself and everybody?" Because that was his plan. That was his plan. And
I got a question.
900 people died. 900 of their people died.
I was going to say, I feel like I don't know, I could be theorizing too much. In my brain, I almost took this whole scene that we're talking about as that was Aemond's plan the whole time. Like the plan that they did. Only because it made me think that that's what made Cole more scared when he saw him then attack his brother. Like he's like, "Oh, you."
It's like, "Oh, you crazy.
Oh,
okay."
Yeah. I feel like even if it wasn't his plan, he sees how crazy he is. But I actually do think that it might have been Aemond's plan. Not to maybe always kill him, but like if I had to, let's set this up so just in case I can go do that.
I like that. I honestly never really considered him being afraid of Aemond, but I like that better than them just being boys. Like, you know, I like that your thought of him like having this fear of him, and I think that totally tracks because, like you said, you know, with all the dead people and seeing not only that, but he knows too that he purposely did not come when he was supposed to. So like no one else would know that besides Cole. So he knows not only the whole sword thing that he saw, but he knows that he intentionally held back, which I think goes even more to your point, Caesar, of him being kind of afraid of him.
And he can't tell Alicent that your son tried to kill your other son.
I mean, like, Alicent wouldn't give a shit anyway. So I mean, she is the worst mom. Absolutely the worst mom.
Really terrible mom. Like
top 3 on TV. It's like
very
getting up there.
100%. But after that, which this is not really something which we can discuss if you guys have something, you know, you guys want to talk about with this, but I just want to throw it out there because we talked about we're going to be doing a new character watch. Anytime one of these new characters pops up on screen, we're going to bring it up. So we do get Hugh Hammer pops up again, and kind of just, you know, what we were talking about earlier, things are not going well for him and his family in King's Landing. But like I said, we're on new character watch. He popped up in the show, so I had to bring it up. Emma, do you got anything on Hugh Hammer or who the hell this guy is? Do you have anything on him?
I have no idea who he is, but I thought that was an interesting glimpse into like the struggles of the people of King's Landing. And I think, I don't know, I kind of hope he ends up being like a bigger character because I want to kind of get that picture of it because we see all of the higher ups kind of fighting and doing all this stuff. But, you know, like we were talking about before, I'm curious to see some other like common everyday people. So I don't know. And Hugh Hammer's a really cool name. So
right.
I'm interested.
you don't have a name like that and have nothing to do in the Game of Thrones world.
No,
Zen
definitely
Caesar,
not.
Or as long, like Caesar says, as long as you're not named after a body part, then you're cool. But if you cannot trust anyone named with a body part.
No fingers, little, big, none of them. Nope.
None of that. Zen, Caesar, you got anything to add on for Hugh the Hammer? Anything of this scene? Like I said, basically just like his family is, you know, almost dying because there's no food and all that jazz.
I felt super bad for him, but I will say that when he popped up, I was like, there goes Hugh again. Like
there he is
showing our guys. So
yeah,
I was sad we didn't get Corlys's quote unquote son.
Yeah,
Alan.
They're gonna keep poking holes at these.
These seeds.
Whoa, bro! Whoa! What are you talking about, dude? We're not there yet. Come on, man.
I will say I did get excited because of it. I saw him. I was like, oh, they're giving us more. Like something's about to happen, and it didn't happen yet. But I felt so bad when you saw the color of his daughter, though. Like you see her skin,
that was so sad.
Like wow, like did she die? I mean, she's about to. She did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So she's not doing well, that's for sure. And I think Emma brings up a great point, though, in like it's kind of giving us an insight of just the kind of commoner, the common person in King's Landing, those who live in the shadow of the Red Keep. And I think that's very important, which, you know, will come, I don't want to say will come into play, but does come into play later on in this episode when Rhaenyra's talking to the White Worm. And she's basically like, yo, there's thousands of people living in King's Landing, and a lot of them do not like the royals. So, you know, we cannot count out the common folk. But after we get our little cameo from Hugh Hammer, I want to talk about, again, something I've been excited to talk to you guys about. Our boy Jace. Jace is killing it. Like in my opinion, Jace is the MVP of this show. My man's getting alliances. He's making stuff happen, which kind of goes to why I'm, like I was saying, I'm kind of frustrated with Daemon and Corlys, because it's like, we got Jace over here putting in work. And what are these dudes doing? They're like, again, kind of, which again, I will say, in fairness to my boy Corlys, I love Corlys, and he did set up the blockade which is why everyone's trying to leave why Hugh's daughter, unfortunately, does not have any food. So, like, that is pretty huge. But other than that, he's just wasting time at Driftmark. And like I said, meanwhile, Jace is going all over the place, going to Winterfell, the Twins, the Riverlands. He's making alliances left and right. And so I just want to get you guys. So, like I said, we see him building an alliance with the Freys in order to get a passage over the Twins. And again, I'm loving this kid. I think what do the kids say these days? Riz. He's got the Riz. He's a Riz lord. Riz. What do you guys think of Jace Velaryon right now, aka Targaryen? What are your guys' thoughts on this? Emma, I'll throw it off to you first.
Yeah. I think he's great. I agree that he's the MVP because he's getting shit done. He knows what he wants to do. He's confident. He's going in there with he's with Riz, I guess.
Yeah.
he really is like
my man's got the blue steel face. Like he
like
is
the look. He's like him and Aemond have like competing.
He's a handsome fella, dude.
Look. Yeah, he's good looking. He's great. And like when he just like was talking to he's making these alliances and he's like, I want bent knees. I was like, that went hard. Like that was good. Cold. That was really cool. And also hearing the phrase, like just hearing that name again, I was like, I got shivers from Game of Thrones days, but I forget I have to remember it's like years before. But I think Jace is awesome and he's definitely climbing up the ranks where Daemon is climbing down the ranks for me.
Yeah, we got to hit up Mark and see where Jace is in the character rankings because, like I said, he shot up way above for me. Caesar, what do you think about Jace, the Rizzler?
Man, the Rizzler is crazy. I was prepared to talk. I can't talk. What up? Now I see him with like green, like the suit, like the Riddler. But it's just never mind.
Well, it's a DC theme because I was thinking of Two-Face when Aegon was sitting in the bed with the half-burnt face.
No,
honestly, I was just thinking of that.
I was like, next time we see Aegon, he gonna look like Two-Face.
Exactly. Honestly, I was just talking about that little Costco kid that does the boom thing, but I like the DC connection even better.
Yes, the Rizzler. The Rizzler's nice. But anyway, I was so proud of Jace. I'm not even gonna lie. When he went, I'm talking to Amber like, all right, babe, like I'm nervous for my guy. Like, I don't know how this is gonna go. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
It's a negotiation. So as they go, everything that he's saying, they give him a little something more. And when they said, I'm sorry, what did they say that made him say the bend the knee? What did they ask for again?
Harrenhall. So
Harrenhall, right. When they said that, I was like,
yo, who's in Harrenhall right now?
You in over your head. You need to go home. Go get on the dragon, and then he was like, "All right, bend the knee," and I was like, "Never mind, I knew my guy." I'm on the bandwagon. I'm back. He's up. He knows what he's doing. But no, seriously, I've felt emotion for him the entire time. Like I really enjoy him just as much. Like him and Baylor to me are both equally.
Yeah, it's so fitting that they're husband and wife.
I love their.
I forget they're married. It's so much.
Yeah, I always forget that too.
I'm gonna go back to forgetting that. It's fine.
I don't think they're actually married, like they've had a ceremony, but they're betrothed to each other, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's on the way.
It's on the way. Well, let's hope because you never know what happens in this show. But Zen, what do you think of Targaryen Rizzler?
You got me nervous.
Don't say that.
No,
that is not like I'm not trying to be cheeky or anything. I'm just saying people die all the time in Throne. I'm not. This is not like me trying to drop hints for sure.
But no, I thought it. I mean, again, as everything y'all was saying, man, I was kind of proud to see him out here doing his work because I felt like he'd been feeling so stifled in the castle. Rhaenyra just been keeping him at bay, and obviously for obvious reasons, we know why she's doing that, but. Like he keeps saying, I want to go out and do something. I want to go out and do something. So he's finally out here making moves. And it's dope to see. I do think he might be, like you were saying, he might be giving away things he don't got. Because Harrenhall is wild. I don't know what's going on. I know Daemon got it right now, but some strange things going on in that castle. I don't know if you should be giving that to people when they ask you. But he got
they don't need to know that right now. That's information they need to know.
They bended the knee, so we'll take it. You know what I mean? And we'll figure that out when we get there. But as of right now, I love what he's doing though. So
yeah, like I said, shout out to that kid because he's doing a phenomenal job. And also, everyone listening and watching this, go if you're on Agents of Fandom, go check out our fellow agent Adam. He had an interview with Corlys and Jace, which was absolutely awesome. So go check that out to hear more from the Targaryen Riz Lord himself. But another thing I want to talk about, so there's a couple other things before we get to the end. I know we're going long here, but there's a lot of things to talk about. But Corlys and Baela. So I've already talked about how I've been a little frustrated with Corlys, right? And we see him just, kind of dealing with Rhaenys' death. Understandably so, very understandably. But we get one of the coldest lines, I think, of the entire series from Baela, which again, I love her too. It's so fitting that her and Jace are together. Had some of the best lines in this episode. But so Corlys wants Baela to take Driftmark because he has no heir right now. And she says that she's not going to take it because she's fire and blood, and Driftmark must go to salt and sea. Ooh, I was like, yeah, like that just such
wild.
Yes, whoever wrote that line needs a raise because
for real.
That was
she sold it too to whoever the action that plays Baela. Oh, because once she said it, you knew that she knew because she stayed there for a sec and then walked away. Like it was like
she knew she ate with that.
You know what I mean?
She really did.
She's cooked.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm loving Baela, and again, it's so fitting that her and Jace are together because both actors are just phenomenal. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on, again, I've already kind of talked about how I'm feeling about Corlys. Like, again, very understandable. He's dealing with Rhaenys. But what do you guys think about, again, Corlys kind of, again, in my opinion, kind of, twiddling around, not really doing much. And also Baela's kind of insistence urging him to, kind of join the fray, which I also forgot to mention. He's offered hand of the queen. So Rhaenyra offers him to be his hand, which is kind of what this discussion is all about. So Caesar, I'll throw it off to you first this time. What are you thinking of our boy Corlys? Like I said, we know we're all fans of Corlys here, but am I out of field feeling that way?
He got a pass this week because
he's going through it.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I love Corlys, but if you really call it out, we're just fans of the show. If you really call out all of his actions, he's just as bad as everybody else. He kind of hated on Rhaenyra. Rhaenys was the one that was like, "Hey, she got it together." He was the one like, "We need to get out of here. Let's go. Let's leave. I don't even care about Rhaenyra like that." You know what I mean? Like, then
he was valid in his hate, though. I'll give him that.
Valid. No,
a little bit, just a little bit valid.
You're right, because he even said at the Baela,
he had some points.
He's like, did my family give her enough? I feel him. I understand him. But at the end of the day, it's valid. Like, hey, brother, you ain't helping. You made a little blockade, and then you had to see. Like she's dealing. Everyone is dealing with a lot, including your grandkids. You know what I mean? So I just feel like he's lucky that not lucky. Sorry, that's a bad way to put it. But I'm saying he's valid in taking some time away because of the passing of his wife. But outside of that, like, brother, you don't need to hurry up. And now you got offered the hand of the queen. It's like, all right, what are you actually doing? What are we waiting for? I feel like, but
well, and again, he's the richest man in he's even richer than the Targaryens. And not only that, but he is the ship guy, like all naval. And we know from original Game of Thrones, you can take King's Landing from Blackwater Bay. We saw it happen in Game of Thrones. And also that is how Aegon the Conqueror took King's Landing originally, was from the water, from, like I said, Blackwater Bay. So it's like he could just be doing so much more right now. But Emma, what are your thoughts on Corlys? And again, also Baela as well, and her kind of checking him in that moment.
Yeah, I think I agree completely. I think they're kind of discounting how important the sea fighting or the naval, I guess it would be kind of their navy type thing, how important that is going to be. And I get, like we're saying, I get he's grieving his wife, totally valid, totally understand, but he's got to take the hand of the queen. I mean, that's just, come on. And that would be such a good duo. He's got to just there's things going on that unfortunately you just can't sit back and take too much time away. But I loved his conversation with Bela. I thought that was so cool and just like gave some more insight into their characters. I think Bela's a great character. That one line was just awesome. And it was great. I mean, he needed to be checked a little bit. I think it's just like, all right, let's get it together just a little bit. Let's get your head back in the game, and because we got shit to do, we got business to take care of. Things are getting bad for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
And I love how, too, she says, Rhaenys was not just your wife. Like, she was my grandma. She was, all this other stuff. And I thought that was also great. But again, it's like, we feel for you, my dude. But, big but, there's a lot of stuff going on over here. Zen, what'd you think of, again, our boy Corlys and Bela checking him? And again, just kind of the, reeling from Rhaenys, which I gotta say, like, of all the relationships of this show, they got probably one of the best.
Yeah, they definitely were my favorite. I like again, everybody has stated like we feel him, Rhaenys. Everybody love Rhaenys, you know what I mean? But yeah, he needed that reality check, and I'm glad Bela was the one to like give him that talk, because I even feel like at the end of that scene when you could see the wheels turning in his head, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I need you to be my heir," because I feel like he wasn't expecting her to stand on business like she was.
Yep.
Like she really came to him like, "Yo, I don't know what you're doing, Grandpa. You better get your stuff together." Like
it was like,
"Yo,
my heir."
You look like an heir.
Yeah.
Man. Like I just thought that was dope to see. Especially, I love, like, again, everybody's been saying I love how they're building Bela's character. Like, it's just dope to see her finally coming to her own and being the daughter of Daemon and standing on everything that she's she everything in the show. So it's been dope to see that. So I finally hope that he comes back into the fray. I felt like did he take the hand thing, or are we kind of waiting to see what that happens?
He was like playing with it while he was sitting on the Driftmark throne, but we don't know if he's accepted it. So I mean, he has it, but hasn't joined the council as of yet.
He has a good timing. He always pops up when it's good timing. Like the last episode when they were going in on Rhaenys, and he just so happens to pop up. So I feel like he'll pop up when we need him.
I hope so, because like I said, he's one of my favorite characters, and I love him. So, like I said, that's why it's like I don't even want to say like I'm frustrated with him, because that's my guy. But come on, my dude. But one last thing I want to say really quickly before we get off this point is another thing I loved about Bela is I feel like we got a little bit more context of Rhaenys' mindset in the last episode. So we kind of talked about this a little bit, like, why did she do what she did? Like we talked about, she had 3 different opportunities to turn back, but every time she went back to the fight. And I thought Bela's line, I think, kind of exemplified it perfectly of like what her mindset was. And she says that she died as she wished, with honor and in Dragonfire, just as my mother did before her. And I think that kind of just like encapsulated it perfectly. Like we all said, Captain goes down with the ship. But at the end of the day, I think that's just what Targaryens do. And like, if anyone was a real Targaryen, a real dragon rider, it was Rhaenys. And, she's going to die one day eventually. So she thought, this is my end. Again, like she said, with honor and Dragonfire, there's no better way for a Targaryen to go out than that. So I just wanted to bring that up because, again, I think that kind of explains to us as the audience why she did what she did.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. Just very true to herself and very Targaryen thing to do. So, and it is really just interesting seeing Bela and her relationship to, like, it's just kind of getting some more context, like you said, to all of their relationships. So I think that's a great point.
The queen that never was, but always was in our hearts. But
Absolutely.
so another thing I wanted to ask you guys before we get to something that we have to discuss, the kind of nail biter at the end of this episode. But again, we talked about the White Worm a little bit and how she's kind of talking to Rhaenyra. We talked last episode how she's like on the council, but not on, like she's like just kind of creeping around the shadows, around corners and stuff. But they send this lady, this like one of Rhaenyra's handmaidens, and we see them send her to King's Landing, and she's got the Daemon hoodie up, so we know she's up to no good. And she kind of sneaks herself into King's Landing, saying that she has to do an errand for the White Worm. And I mean, there's a million things this lady could be doing. So I just want to ask you guys, what do you think this lady is doing? What are Rhaenyra and the White Worm planning? And to kind of give this a little bit more context, right before that, the White Worm says there's more ways to fight a war than, you know, swords or whatever like that. So something nefarious is afoot. So again, I just want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Emma, I'll throw it off to you first. What do you think this lady's doing? What's her plan?
Yeah, something fishy is definitely going on. It really could be anything. Like, God, maybe, I don't know, maybe scoping out like the areas, like the actual physical areas of King's Landing, and trying to figure out like maybe there's some ways to get in. I mean, I know there's ways to kind of like sneak in, but maybe, I don't know, maybe listening on some conversations if possible. I know it's pretty risky, but she's probably trying to find out some information to bring it back to Rhaenyra, or just totally planning something absolutely insane, which would be interesting. I don't know what it would be, but some crazy shit's always happening in this world. So
yeah, I honestly have no idea. I like have no idea. And also, too, another question I'll throw to you guys, because I don't know this. Did anyone recognize the lady that she like? So she comes into King's Landing. She comes to this lady's house and she opens the door and she's like, "Oh, so and you know whatever." I didn't recognize that lady, so just wondering if any of y'all did either. No, yeah. No. So I don't know who the hell that lady is, but Caesar, what you got? Any crazy theories? You got any thoughts on what the hell this lady's doing?
I'm too simple. I thought from the conversation they were having with the White Worm, I thought she was saying I'm gonna send her to spread rumors, like positive rumors about.
Oh, yeah.
Am I wrong? Is that what she was saying?
No,
that's literally what I thought she was literally like, "Hey, go say something about you." And
I didn't even think that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love that though. No, I really like that because I mean, we were just talking about and the White Worm. I always forget her real name. That's why I always call her White Worm. So forgive me for that. But Mysaria, right? Mysaria. I never know how to pronounce it. I'm like, but Mysaria, like I said, that was her point that she made again that we talked about was the people in King's Landing. There's thousands of them. So I think that's a great point, Caesar. Maybe that's something I missed because I think that's great. Like having someone in King's Landing to kind of spread more word, like, yo, that's not true. Like, hey, this is what really happened, right?
And the only reason I also thought that because again, remember earlier in the episode, it's the crowd being like, the other side is bad. We don't like this, and it's showing us that. So I was like, oh, maybe it's we're getting more into like, common folk, like just hearing and being part of the war.
Ooh, I
and
like that. Yeah.
Going to what she's saying about there's more ways to fight. Yeah, I think there's the other way to fight kind of, or it's propaganda, and maybe she's not doing propaganda, but just like spreading and trying to like I'm trying to think of the word for it, like pinpoint, right? Like just like spreading, kind of like putting things in people's heads, especially at this point where all this stuff is going on with the dragon, like they're kind of already feeling like, I don't know about this. Perfect time to get to these people and be like, well, actually, a lot of the stuff you heard is not true, and you should come to our side. So I think that would be the smart thing to do, for sure.
Yeah, I love that, Caesar. You got the theory of the day today.
Yeah, that was
Zen. Good. What are you thinking? What the hell is this lady doing?
I had a two-parter. He took part. That was one of my parts I was going to say for sure, but you got that
Same
one.
Mind.
But I definitely do think that they're going to be spreading some names. I also think they might have went out there also to check the temperature on the people of King's Landing as well, trying to see what are they feeling, how are they feeling about what's going on, what's the real word on Rhaenyra, how do they feel about this war. So I think it's like a little bit of both to me. It's like feeling what people are saying and then maybe kind of trying to counteract that or try to give them some more realistic rumors on what's actually going on. So I feel like it's both of those things. Hopefully, we'll see.
Hell yeah, I love that because those are things I never even really considered. I feel like my mind immediately went to like she's gonna infiltrate like like she's gonna be like the new handmaiden to Alicent, or like she's gonna infiltrate and be a spy, right? But I like your guys' route of, like you said, like kind of spreading rumors, using the propaganda, and I think this episode for sure kind of sets that up beautifully with, like we talked about, them talking with the dragon head, and then Hugh Hammer showing like, his family's plight. So I really love that. And I think I would love to see that. And then last thing we have to talk about before we get out of here, we're already over time because, like I said, there's just so much juicy, good stuff to talk about. But this is something I'm excited to talk about. And also, I thought we talked about this already, but I was going back on our episodes, and I don't think we did. So I think this conversation that we had about this was completely off camera.
We had it off camera. Yep.
Ooh,
I was saying,
messing up.
Literally, we were like, yeah, go check out our last episode and listen to this. But so we haven't talked about this yet. But the end of the episode, we get, again, our Riz Lord Jace coming to his mom, our queen, and they're basically like, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? Like, we're kind of in the shitter right now. And, you know, Rhaenyra, kind of going back to what we talked about also with Rhaenyra not really sure of her next move, not really confident in her, you know, I don't want to say leader abilities, but like wartime abilities. And Jace brings up, he's like, yo, you know, there's a lot of Targaryens out there who never made it to the throne. And basically kind of throws the idea out there that, hey, we have some dragons that don't have riders. There's some people out there that have Targaryen blood. He literally goes, again, the Rizlord, dude, he's so good. But his reaction is like, hey, better than death and surrender, right? So they kind of set this up that we're going to be getting more dragon riders and more dragons as well, which this I am just insanely excited for. This is a big kind of thing in the books. It's what's known as the red sowing, and it definitely it changes the course of a lot of things. But before I nerd out on all of that, I just want to, and Zen, Caesar, we've talked about this before, so you guys kind of have some insight. So Emma, I'll throw it to you first on this one, but what were your thoughts on just kind of the implication of there's more dragon riders out there that we could be kind of recruiting?
Yeah, I think this is really exciting, and it kind of really goes to the core of this, is that this is a war between dragons, basically. And I kind of am like picturing a shot sometime in a later episode of just like a bunch of dragons, all the people on the ground, but just like multiple dragons fighting each other, just flying together. Like, I think it's a really exciting possibility that there's all these other dragons, and I'm curious to see who ends up popping up or who they find. I mean, I don't know. I don't know which other Targaryens are around at this point, but I'm really excited. I just think it's and Jace is just like consistently just
again coming with the great idea. Like, dude, what? Like, that was his, like, purely his idea. And I mean, the histories don't recount that, but I need my boy to get his due credit, because again, he is winning. Like, he is single-handedly winning this war right now in my mind. But Zen, Caesar, what'd you guys, again, I know we've talked about this and we're about to get into it, but like when you guys heard that, where you're like, oh, hell yeah.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting. But no, I'm glad they finally, I love how they kind of came to the realization too, because they kind of was like riffing off each other, going back and forth. Like, he was like, well, I got this idea. And she was like, but how would you do that? And he was like, well, you could do it like this. And it was like, I'm like, oh, I love this. I love that whole scene, that character interaction. And I'm excited to see how they figure it out, because it seemed like the way Rhaenyra was talking, a lot of that stuff is written down, or like some of those names or like who people came from is documented some type of way. So I'm curious to see how they go about looking and finding these riders for these dragons. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be interesting to see, especially with how many episodes we got left. I'm hoping that plays a big part in where we go next.
We got 3 left.
Only 3? Oh,
yeah, God. I think if we're doing, it's 8 episodes, right? 8 episode season?
Yeah, it's 8.
Yeah.
Let's go by so fast.
I know. You at me now, knowing that, come to that realization right here live on camera. But I am just, you guys know I'm so excited. So this is, again, what's called in the books the red sowing. And basically it's exactly what, Jace is saying. It's when the Targaryens search out for other Targaryen bastards that have never been claimed to come and ride these untamed dragons. So currently we have 4 untamed dragons that are on Dragonstone. And that is going to be Sheepstealer, Grey Ghost, Cannibal, and Vermithor. And so they're just chilling, right? And we also have Silverwing and, let's see. Yes. Oh, Sea Smoke. Sea Smoke as well.
Oh, Sea Smoke.
Caesar.
Yeah.
I got
Yes,
a question.
Caesar.
You said cannibal. Isn't that the one that eats dragons? Can't
Yes,
nobody ride him?
Oh,
Yeah, so cannibal is a dragon who eats other dragons, and it's
So
said in
isn't
the
that null
book
and
that,
void?
like,
Like we can't
yeah,
even include
it's like
cannibals.
anybody who tries to ride him basically dies.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
during this search for new riders, 16 people actually lose their life. So it is not
shit.
an easy going thing, like Caesar's just saying. This is not.
Wait, why are they losing their life?
easy
Nah,
You want to go try and ride a dragon, my man?
Oh,
Like,
they're
that doesn't always
this
go
too
well.
much. They just throw. Okay, I see what's up.
Yeah. So
That's a lot
where
of bodies.
all this
All right.
comes from, though, so what this all means, the red sowing and why they call it this, is so the Targaryens have ruled in Dragonstone for a long, long time. And they were even a lot of people assume that, like, the height of Targaryen power or the Targaryens in Westeros started with Aegon's conquest, but they were in Dragonstone for at least like a good, I want to say almost 100-something years before Aegon ever even began his conquest. And during that time, Targaryens, I mean, we know how Targaryens get down. They were not just, which we obviously know it's custom to, wed within the Targaryen family, but a lot of Targaryens did not stick to that. And they very often had bastards with, the common folk of Dragonstone, other lore, whatever it may be. But here's where it gets different, though, where in the rest of the realm, bastards are looked upon as like less than, and they don't, they're not as equal as their noble blooded, brothers and sisters. On Dragonstone, that was completely opposite. If you were born of a Targaryen, even if you were a bastard, these bastards were celebrated and they were looked upon as like something to be, again, celebrated. And this all goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, where especially on Dragonstone, people thought Targaryens were gods, or at least, as close to gods as could be. So if you had a kid with a Targaryen, like, you were set in Dragonstone. And they later referred to these bastards as seeds. So that's why they call it the red sowing, is because they're going off to find these Targaryen seeds that are out there. And they could be anybody, people on Dragonstone, people in King's Landing. And that's something I thought was interesting in the show, was they kind of keep it specifically to Targaryens who haven't ruled. Like, Jay says it's like, oh, Targaryen marries so-and-so, they have kids, like that kind of gets lost. But I'm interested to see if they kind of come in and play with this idea of, again, these bastards. Like, I feel bad saying that, but that's what they call it in the show. But you know what I mean? Like, how that comes into play with this. And again, we have the dragons, they're ready to be taken. And we just said, this is a war of dragons. So, I mean, I'm just so excited. Now that you guys have all the info on that, like, what are your guys' thoughts on this whole seeds, the dragon? I mean, how is this going to tip the scales, y'all think, in this war? Emma, I'll throw it off to you first.
I think this could, hopefully give them an advantage, because, this is all Targaryen stuff. Like, this is going to be really interesting. And I love this. This is what, like, the kind of thing that I love about Game of Thrones are like the prophecies, the like events, the things that come up that are like this. And I'm hearing all of that makes me so much more excited for what's to come.
I feel like I've seen some people say, like, especially in regard to like the Song of Ice and Fire, like, oh, I don't like that. I love that stuff.
I love
like,
it.
That is, yeah, I love that. Zen, Caesar, what are your guys' thoughts on the red sowing? Like, I just kind of threw a bunch at you.
Is the way that they keep playing with Corlys' son, is he half Targaryen?
Well, so okay, I'll ask you guys this, because I'm not saying yes or no to anything. I'm asking y'all, do you think, like, I feel like I don't want to reveal who the Dragon Riders are, right?
Don't do that.
I feel like I should keep that,
definitely.
right? I should keep that under wraps, right?
I didn't say anything.
I
just thought about it in this conversation.
Yeah, like I said, I was debating it, but yeah, I'm gonna keep that under wraps. But yeah,
I thought about that because I'm thinking about the scene. I was first going to ask you, is Hugh the same dude that when we saw that bar scene a few episodes ago, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm a Targaryen," and they were like, "No, that was a different guy, right?"
Yeah, that was Ulf. ULF.
So the way they keep poking him out, that's the only reason I brought up Corlys' son. So I didn't bring. Never mind.
Hey, we're watching We're watching new characters. We're keeping track of everyone.
That's right. I'm just looking at him now. I'm like, does that mean he's Targaryen? Since we
well, now that we know this concept of seeds, we got to start a seed watch now. Like, who are they? They got to be there somewhere. So, we got to keep our watch out, everybody. Everyone watching and listening.
We got like
home.
5 right now, four or 5. Especially because I can't tell if Corliss's brother is also one or if that's just his brother. I can't figure out what's going on.
That's why I say we're on seed watch now. We got to be watching everyone with close eyes. You never know. Targaryen could be hiding in plain sight right under your midst. You never know it. But that brings us to the end of this episode. And we all said, we loved this episode. There were so many great moments. But among those great moments, before we get out of here and before we all plug ourselves here, I want to know what were your guys' best moment. If you had to pick one, what was the one moment of this episode for you? Zen, I'll throw it off to you first.
Man, it's a toss-up. It's either between the Corlys and Baela scene or the Jace and Rhaenyra figuring out the Dragon Seed plan scene. Those two stuck out for me the most from this episode. Can't pick, but they both were great.
That's a great tie to have. Emma, what do you think?
Yeah, it's tough because the Corlys and Baela scene is up there. I think I might go the Jace forming allies scene. I thought that was just really cool and really shows.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I love that too. And I think it just, with Jace, just kind of, it showed we're doing something, right? Because again, we talked about Daemon's off doing God knows what, and at least Jace is we're moving forward with Jace. Caesar, what
no one wants to work anymore.
Yeah, right. Freaking lazy. Oh, that's a perfect way to say it. Freaking lazy. Caesar,
work.
You got another moment for us?
I don't even know the best moment now. I feel like we threw them all out there. Do I got to go? You know what? One we didn't mention. I just love the scene acting wise with Rhaenyra and Baela. That's a good one.
Oh, that is a great one.
Every time they talk, it's I don't know. I like their interactions a lot. We're getting them more a little bit last 2 episodes.
I really love their interaction too. I'm upset that I didn't add it into our notes here, but I mean, we're already an hour 20 and it's crazy how you can't
set up the next thing.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But it's crazy. We've been talking almost an hour and a half and we haven't gone over everything in the show, which I think is just a testament to how much are in these episodes. But I think we kind of all no, this isn't an all agree one because I think I'm a little torn on this. We also do who won the episode. And so currently the score is 2-1-1. We got the Blacks winning 2 episodes. We got the Greens squeezing out 1 last time with Rainey's. And then we also have a tie, which I think was episode 2 or 3 maybe. So
the twins, right? It was the
twins?
Yeah,
the twins. So for the twins, we gave them a tie. And so what do you guys think the score is now? Who do you think won this episode? Are we going Team Green or Team Black? I know my answer already, but I'll save it and I will throw it off to Zen. You look like Emma and Caesar look like they're very undecided right now.
Won this episode.
Zen looks a little bit more confident.
I'm a little undecided too because I'm trying to weigh up what happened in this episode as far as all right, so Jace made the alliance, right? But then you have the Riverland people kind of coming at Daemon, so did he lose the Riverland support?
Yeah,
that's very up in the air right now. I would say.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like that's. But then, we lost Rhaenys. I still feel like we still feeling that right now. We lost Rhaenys, but then now we got Aemond kind of being king, low key, right now. Yeah. So that's kind of a win.
I'll say that's kind of a win. I think
that's kind of a dub.
Yeah.
A win for them. Damn.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say episode win. I say that point is a win
overall,
for them. But I don't know if does that squeeze it out for them for the episode though. Do you think?
Not much happened. What else happened to fight it? To go against it.
I'm going tie. I say
tie.
I would say
I'm not going to tie because you don't want them to win.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think I want them to.
No, please tell. Is that unfair? Do you think that is that my bias? Because if it is,
only reason why I think so is because what does Zen say? He said the Jace and then Daemon. I feel like that equals out to nothing.
That's right. That's true.
Then you get the green.
True.
So I feel like
that's what's tough.
And Aemond.
Yeah,
I think we got to do it. Do we have to do it?
I think it's 2-2.
Do we have to?
I think so.
All right.
I hate it. If it weren't for Daemon.
I'm sorry, Rhaenyra.
say
Yeah.
I think the council has spoken. Unfortunately, so
Yeah,
the score
I would have
currently
to.
standing now
And they're
is
gonna
2-2.
she's gonna have to kill Arnold. What's his name? Alfred.
Yeah, Alfred,
They're
dude.
gonna have to kill him.
Get rid
Yeah,
of him.
we need
He's gotta
to
go.
get back up in the
We-
ranks fast.
Somebody we just need a death.
I hate it. I hate that we have to see people. These are the hard decisions the council has to make. It is not
It's tough.
all
Yes.
fun
But
and
it's
games
accountability,
being
you
here.
know?
Exactly, but we got to be fair, and if we're not fair, who will be? So unfortunately, not that we're happy about it, but the Greens will take episode 5, making the current score 2-1 with the one tie. And like you guys said, Team Black needs to step it up next. I can't even have it tied. Like, that's not
No.
good enough.
I
We
don't even
need
want
to
to put up my
be
jersey all celebratory. I can't do
yes.
it.
We need to be up the scoreboards.
Yep.
But this has been so much fun talking to you guys about this episode. We all talk about how much we love this episode, and you guys all have such great insights of this episode. Emma, I cannot thank you enough for joining the council. You've been an absolutely wonderful guest. And before we get out of here, I want to throw it off to you really quickly. Let the people know where to find you, what you got going on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. You can find me at my Twitter. I'm not calling it X. It is always going to be Twitter. Username at it's on the screen, but it's at _EMMINEM. Hopefully you're watching in YouTube form so you can see it. I don't have much going on as of late. Unfortunately, I got a new job a few months ago, and that's taking up a lot of my time. But I'm hoping to get back into the game of writing because I do have some articles up on Agents of Fandom from a while ago. Just kind of enjoying summer. I turned 31 in a couple weeks, so
Happy pre-birthday, then.
Thank you. We'll see. It's kind of a birthday, but it's cool. So
birthday's always something to celebrate, and everyone out there, make sure to go follow Emma and also go check out her wonderful work over at Agents of Fandom. Zen, Caesar, Listen 3000, tell us what's going on. I know that we have some stuff just dropped like yesterday, so please plug your guys' stuff. Again, Listen 3000, go subscribe, but tell us what we got going on.
You want to go? You want me to go?
Oh, you go ahead. I feel like you was prepared.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can follow me at Army Zen, ZENN. It's on the screen as well if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, Let's 3000. We just dropped our 50th episode yesterday, and we have a giveaway. Make sure to go on our Twitter at Listen 3000 on Twitter. You'll see all the details for the giveaway there. We're giving away some Deadpool and Wolverine tickets and some merch and stuff like that. So if you want that, go follow us. Check us out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I am Caesar. I just noticed today that everybody was doing the ad, so I'm gonna do that next time. So at Caesar, Caesar of Forever, CESAR of 4VR, and Listen 3000.
Which also I'm gonna plug you guys for you because you guys forgot to mention you guys just released a new song as well, which I absolutely love, and I have to bring it up because again, if you guys aren't gonna do it, I'm gonna have to do it for you. So make sure also to download the new song. Remind me the name of the song.
And Entertain. Yes.
Entertain. I was still thinking Cherry, so
But at least you knew the name.
On.
That's all that matters.
Hey, come on now. I'm a real fan. Come on. What are you talking about? But yes, go download the song. Go subscribe to Listen 3000. Amazing podcast. You can find me at The Fat Thor. I talk about comic books, talk about nerd stuff. Whatever, come find me and we can talk all about it. But that is going to be all we have for you guys this week. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please make sure to give us a like, subscribe to Agents of Fandom on all of our socials and here on YouTube so you don't miss 1 second of all the good nerd news, entertainment news, House of the Dragon news. We cover it all, so please consider giving us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And as for this episode of House of the Dragon, that is going to be all we have for you this week. We will see y'all next week.